Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you the morning Arsenal booked their place in the quarter-final of the Europa League, but in typical Arsenal style, they did not do it in easy, comfortable fashion, losing 1-0 on the night to Olympiacos, who have now won 3 times in a row at the Emirates Stadium, but going through 3-2 on aggregate. And like I said, the ultimate thing was they booked their place in the last day of the competition. That was the key. They certainly deserved it over the 2 legs, but boy, they made it a little bit more nervy than they should have done last night, mainly because of some woeful finishing, which we will get to later on in this video. I think we all thought it was probably going to be a bit of a cruise for Arsenal. I think the players probably thought that as well. Was that wig? You could see in the first half they didn't quite know how to approach it. Was it just a case of cruising through, doing the bare minimum to get through? That's certainly what it felt like at times to me. And once you start like that, it's very hard to sort of kick yourself into gear. They still should have scored a few goals in the first half. They had a couple of great chances. Aubameyang missing one, Pepe missing one, and then the second half as well, Aubameyang missing his one-on-one. Pepe, I think that summed it up the whole night, was when Pepe had that shot which was clearly going in and it managed to smack Smith Rowe in the head about 4 yards out and deflected over. I think that summed up the entire night for Arsenal. There's also another chance for Pepe he put straight at the keeper, and it was just one of those nights. I think the XG at the end of it was Arsenal was about 2.5 and Olympiacos 0.69, something like that. I think it said it all. Olympiacos scored with a deflected goal. Arsenal couldn't hit a barn door, but they're through, and they never looked in danger of going out. Even after Olympiacos scored, it never really looked like they were going to go on and score the goals they needed to get through. But still, Arsenal will certainly be disappointed with that. They were disappointed with that. Mikel Arteta was certainly disappointed with the performance and the missed chances. And if they're going to go on and win this competition, and they've got a good chance of doing that now, they're in the last 8, then they need to improve in their finishing, because they're becoming a little bit wasteful now. This is not the first time we've seen it from Arsenal. We've seen it a few times, and they need to start taking their chances. Aubameyang, obviously the chief culprit. We'll get to him a little bit in this video as well, but other players need to step up and score the goals as well, not just Auba. Some interesting comments from Leno after the game. I thought really summed up and captured the feeling pretty well, the mood. You know, very forthright as always when Leno talks. It's always good when Leno talks, because he's not one of these players who's totally media trained and just says the sound bites. He'll say what he truly feels, and he certainly did that last night. He said, I think we suffered today. It was not necessary. The first 15-20 minutes we controlled the game, but then we made too many easy mistakes, and in the second half we conceded, and then everybody was nervous. We made it hard for ourselves, and it was not necessary. In the dressing room it was quiet, because everyone knows that was not a good performance. We cannot change it, but the positive thing is that it was a warning. We need to be 100% every game. If we play like today, then we won't reach anything this season. Absolutely spot on there from Leno. He knows that Arsenal must improve if they're going to win this competition. They're beating, Olympiacos aren't great, let's face it. Benfica weren't that good. Arsenal got through both of those ties, but now they'll have some more dangerous opponents to come in the quarterfinals. We'll find out the draw for the quarterfinals later on today. Tottenham aren't in it. I'm sure you've seen that in what was an absolutely hilarious result in Zagreb, I have to say, which was more entertaining those last 10 minutes after the Arsenal game had finished, and watching those last 10 minutes while still sitting in the stadium was the most entertaining part of the night. And I hope Jermaine Jenas is feeling really happy about that tweet that's doing a round of his. I won't say any more than that. So the teams that are in the quarterfinals: Ajax, Arsenal, Zagreb, Granada, Man United, who obviously beat AC Milan last night, Roma, Slavia Prague, and Unai Emery's Villarreal. So some tricky games there. You'd think Manchester United are probably favourites. Haven't looked at the betting odds. Arsenal probably as second favourites, I would imagine. But you've got some decent teams there. Villarreal would not be easy. Unai Emery, we all know how good he is at this competition. He certainly knows how to win it. Most successful manager ever in this competition. And he's got a good team in Villarreal, some good players. They're not going to be easy. I don't think Ajax would be easy either. And Zagreb last night, as they showed against Tottenham, they're certainly not going to be easy. And you can't take anything for granted in this competition, which Mikel Arteta admitted afterwards when he was asked about the Tottenham defeat. And he was absolutely spot on. I thought it's because he said it shows as well the level of the opposition, that people take for granted that you play against an opponent and you'll go through just because of the name of the club that they represent. It's not like that. Every team is Europe is difficult to beat. Just going back to Leno, I thought he carried on with his assessment of the game. He said, I think there are only very good teams left in the quarterfinals and we need 2 perfect games to go through to the semi-finals and 2 more to go through to the final. The Europa League is very important for us. This is probably the closest way to get to the Champions League and also a very big European trophy. So we need to step up. We need to have the motivation to win every game, cut out the easy mistakes and go through to the final. And hopefully have a big final at the end of the season. This is obviously a really, really important tournament and competition for Arsenal. They know it's the best route back into the Champions League. It's the only chance of silverware they've got left this season. And they're getting within touching distance now. You're only 2 ties away from getting through to the final. And they know they have to improve. They simply can't miss the chances that they did last night if they want to go through, and they need to pass the ball better. Mikel, speaking after the game, says, look, I'm pleased that we are through, and last year we went out to Olympiacos, but if I have to evaluate the performance with what we've done today, with the ball in particular, then it's nowhere near the standards that we have set for ourselves. We made it really difficult because we didn't have any stability when you give the amount of balls away that we have in the game. When that happens, you don't have control to manage the tie the way you should have done, and that's related to the amount of chances we have missed again. So Mikel clearly not happy with what he saw from his players, and you could tell that in his press conference after the game. Very happy that they got through, but I'm sure he'll certainly be sitting down with players today and saying, look, we can't play that sort of way in the latter stage of this competition, expect to go through. We're going to have to improve massively, and they'll have to improve massively when they play West Ham again this weekend. I think when you compare the performance last night to the performance against Tottenham, I mean, it was just worlds apart. I do think mentally the whole thing of having such a commanding lead going into the game, it plays on your mind. I think Tottenham clearly suffered from it last night as well against Zagreb. You kind of don't know how to approach the game. Do you sit back and just try and see it through and try and act calmly, or do you go for it and try and kill the game off? And Arsenal, I think they were stuck in 2 minds, and then when they kept missing their chances, they started to get a little bit nervy. Obviously, Olympiacos got the deflected goal, and then suddenly it was all a bit hell for leather. But they got the job done, and like I said, I never really felt like Olympiacos were going to score again after they got their first goal. And it was still fairly comfortable victory for Arsenal, but they could have certainly done with taking one of those chances that they created just to ease the nerves even more. I mean, it was an awful night for Aubameyang, let's face it. He was back in the team. All the eyes were on him after what happened at the weekend against Spurs. Mikel started him, threw him straight back into the side. I imagine he did that just to sort of put what happened at the weekend even further to bed. Hopefully, I imagine he hoped that Aubameyang was going to score and silence everything that's been going on, but instead Aubameyang had one of those nights. So he's had a few of, let's face it. I mean, all strikers do. I'm not going to sit here and have a go at Aubameyang. He's scored too many goals since he come to Arsenal to really deserve too much criticism, but you know, he had an awful night and he needs to score those chances. He knows that, Arsenal know it, Mikel Arteta knows it, we all know it. I mean, the one in the second half when he went through 1-1, he had so much time. I don't know why he went. He could have easily taken it onto his right foot. He had so much time, but he moved over to his left foot, made the finish really difficult for himself. The keeper stayed big, to be fair to him, and by the time Auba did dink it with his left foot, you could sort of see that the angle wasn't the greatest for him and the keeper was right on top of him. I just think he should have knocked it around him, got it his right foot, taken it around him and scored. But again, who am I to give Aubameyang striking advice? I think he's slightly above me in that one. But he had an awful night, and the fact that it came on the back of what happened at the weekend is obviously not ideal for Auba, and everyone was talking about it afterwards. Mikel was asked, do you think what happened on Sunday was still, in his thoughts, and was he still thinking about it? And he said, I hope it wasn't. We've moved on from that, and he started the game. I expect that when he does play, he performs at the level he can. Obviously, he didn't perform at the level he can yesterday. He missed a really good chance in the first half when he snatched at it. Again, it was his touch really that let him down. I thought now he didn't get it out of his feet in time, and then he had to sort of stab at it from underneath him, and he put it over. The second one in the second half when he went through and got his finish all wrong there, that should have been a goal. Even at the end when Martinelli came on, whipped it into him, his first effort was pretty good. It was behind him, he dragged it in, the keeper made a good save, and then he volleyed it over. It was just one of those nights for Aubameyang, the one that he's going to have to put behind him, and hopefully one that he won't replicate in the quarter-final and semi-final, because he's Arsenal's star striker. He's a guy who gets most of the goals, and if Arsenal are going to win this competition, they need Aubameyang scoring and playing well. They don't need him missing the sort of chances that he missed last night. Missing chances is a big issue for Arsenal at the moment. It wasn't just last night. It's something we've seen time and time again. We saw it at Burnley. It cost them there. And even against Tottenham, they missed chances. And you saw it. They found themselves 1-0 down, having dominated and missing chances. They can't afford to keep doing that, because with Arsenal, you know they're always likely to concede a goal. It's just the way it is. I didn't think defensively they were that bad yesterday. The goal they conceded was obviously wasn't an own goal, but it was a big deflection. I don't think it would have. I think Leno would have kept it out had it not taken that big deflection. I thought Gabriel actually played well yesterday. Again, he was Arsenal's best player in my view. But they do concede goals. It's just a fact at the moment. I can't remember the last time Arsenal kept a clean sheet. It was quite a while ago. And so you've got to take your chances if you're going to win a game. And unfortunately, Arsenal recently have not been taking too many of them, and they've got to improve on that. Mikel said it again after. He said, when you're here and you create the chances that we created tonight, you have to put the game to bed. We know that will be crucial in the next round to have the best possible chance to be through. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing much more to say about that. It's just Arsenal have to be clinical. If they're not clinical, they're not going to win games, especially when you create the sort of chances they created last night. Like I said at the start, I think the XG was about 2.5 for Arsenal last night. To not score when you've got an XG of 2.5, that says a lot of the quality of chances that you are missing. Just moving away from the game, I will finish this video off with my player ratings as I didn't get time to do it after last night's game. But just moving away from it quickly, a bit of a boost when it comes to Thomas Partey. He has not been called up for Ghana for their 2 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Because of the Ghana FA have just basically decided not to. I think a couple of other players based in England, I think Andre Ayew as well, hadn't been, just because of all the COVID issues and the travel issues. They wouldn't have been able to play in one of the games anyway because of where it was. I think it was Angola, and so they wouldn't have been allowed in because that was on the UK's red list, which meant they would only be able to play one of the games. And so Ghana have just basically decided that we won't call them up anyway. We'll let them stay with their club. So that's a big boost for Arsenal, because they are certainly nervous, Arsenal, about a lot of their players going away during this international break. Thomas would have had a lot of flying to do in a short space of time. And so Arsenal will be delighted that he can stay back London Colney, work on his fitness, work on the training ground for a full week. So that is a big boost for Arsenal, and for Mikel Arteta. He will understandably be very happy about that. Right, player ratings, shall we? Like I said, I didn't get onto these ones yesterday. They're not going to be the highest because, let's face it, Arsenal were pretty poor, I thought, last night. But let's go anyway. Leno couldn't do a thing with the goal, took a big deflection, went past him. Other than that, I thought he had a fairly solid night, wasn't really tested too much. Trying to see how many shots did they have on target. They had 2 shots on target in the whole night, Olympiacos. One of them, obviously, the goal that was deflected. So not a very busy night for Bernd Leno, but he coped with everything else pretty well. Claimed the corners and the cross as well. So I'm going to give Bernd Leno a 6. As I said, Gabriel is going to get my man of the match at centre-back. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought it was he had a decent night's work. Gabriel again, he's certainly showing signs of being back towards his best at the moment, which is a boost. He made 8 clearances, and it's more than anyone else in the Arsenal team last night, which kind of summed up his performance, I thought, as well. Gained possession 4 times. So he gets a 7. David Luiz next to him gets 6. The rest of the 3 defenders get a 6 from me. So Hector, David Luiz and Kieran Tierney, they all get a 6. Kieran Tierney lost possession 18 times. That's more than anyone else on the pitch. He always tends to lose possession more because he does at least take chances when he gets down the left-hand side and whips those crosses in. So he gets a 6 for me. They all, like I said, Tierney, Luiz and Bellerin all get a 6. In midfield, Granit Xhaka, as usual, most passes more than anyone, 25 more than anyone else on the pitch, 86, 73 of those were successful, 46 of those were successful in the opposition half, so he played a lot of the ball in the opposition half. Granit Xhaka, pretty decent performance. I'm not going to have a go at him too much for it. He's going to get a 6. Mohamed Elneny, I'm going to give a 5. I don't think it was Elneny's greatest performance. He wasn't involved in the game too much, and I think Elneny's job is very much to get the ball and move it on quickly to the better players. That's what he's in the team to do. And Arsenal just didn't have much control in the midfield when it was Xhaka and Elneny. That's why Thomas Partey came on. That's why Martin Odegaard came on as well. It was just to give Arsenal a little bit more control, get them on the ball more in those central areas and control the game more, because they didn't really have that with the midfield 3 of Xhaka, Elneny and Dani Ceballos. So I'm going to give Elneny a 5. Dani Ceballos, I thought, actually started the game all right, but then ended up having a bit of a nightmare after that. Gave the ball away an awful lot. Gave the ball away in the lead up for their goal, actually. And got hooked fairly quickly after that. Didn't look too happy. He knew he didn't have a decent night's work. Dani Ceballos, I'm going to give him a 4. Nicolas Pepe, I thought, was at least very bright. He was unlucky not to score in the first half of that one that just deflected off Socrates and rolled the wrong side of the post. Was inches away from a goal basically in the second half when his shot was going in. He absolutely caught it sweetly from Tierney's cutback, and it smacked Smith Rowe in the head and bounced over, an incident that pretty much summed up Arsenal's night. So I thought Pepe was pretty bright. I thought defensively he did a really good job as well. Actually, Nicolas Pepe, he was really, really solid. He made 2 tackles more than anyone else on the pitch, gained possession 8 times. So good performance from Pepe overall. For me, I'm going to give Pepe a 7. Emile Smith Rowe, he was all right. He wasn't as influential as he has been recently. I'm going to give him a 6. And Aubameyang, I'm going to have to give Auba the lowest mark of the night because he was on the pitch to score goals and he missed some absolute sitters. So I'm going to give Auba 3 because it was just a really disappointing night for Auba. He'll know it as well. And it just didn't work. In terms of substitutes, I thought Odegaard came on and certainly settled things down as well. I'll give him a 6. Thomas Partey, I'll give a 5. I didn't think Partey was fantastic when he came on, but Odegaard I thought certainly made a difference. And I thought Martinelli came on late on and he made a difference. Unlucky not to get an assist with that cross and run that he set up for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. So I'll give Martinelli a 6 as well. He was bright in those few minutes he was on the pitch and certainly showed why he should be playing a little bit more than he has been recently. All right, that's it for the player ratings. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said at the start, the draw is at midday today. By the time you're watching this, it may already have happened. So head over to my Twitter if you haven't found out who Arsenal have got yet, because I will be following the draw on social media. And hopefully Arsenal get a decent draw that we can all enjoy. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you very, very soon.